Now on Coast TV News.
Smoke and sirens, a house fire in Lincoln sends one person to the hospital. What neighbors say they saw and heard. Smarter solutions, new tech at the Food Bank of Delaware will help cut food waste and protect the planet. And Bad Company honored. Local musician Paul Cullen talks about his former band's induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
Multiple crews on the scene of a Sussex County house fire today. Good evening. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Welcome to Coast TV News at 11. We begin tonight in Lincoln. If you were driving in the Lincoln area this afternoon, you might have noticed a lot of smoke in the air. Coast TV was on the scene of this house fire. It happened on Johnson Road near Virginia Pine Road and North Old State Road. Neighbors we spoke with say they heard explosions in the area. We are told the owner of the home was taken to the hospital.
I was on the way back home from work. I got a text message from my dad. He pretty much texted me. He was like, sounded like there was an explosion pretty much. I see the huge black smoke, so I'm just assuming the worst. But yeah, next thing I know, there's a whole fire going on.
The firefighters did a great job of keeping it in one area, at least with what water they had. I'm grateful everybody else came around to help.
Yeah, and Coast TV saw at least 5 different fire companies there today from Kent and Sussex counties. That's including Milford's Carlisle Fire Company, Georgetown, Ellendale, and Magnolia. Well, moving on now, rotten, unusable food, it usually ends up at the dump. But a nifty new piece of technology is changing how food waste is disposed of and helping the environment in the process. Coast TV News reporter Ana Sofia Roman shows us how the new machine works.
This is the orca, but as you can see, it's not a giant sea creature. Instead, it's the newest technology making a difference at the Food Bank of Delaware in Milford. Just by looking at it, you might not be able to tell what it does, so let me explain. The purpose of this machine is to process between 800 and 1,000 pounds of food waste every day.
It uses air, microbes, water, and temperature to digest and accelerate the digestion of organic food waste. It is very similar to a mechanical stomach with biology involved to, as a byproduct, have only liquid come out and go to its end goal of wastewater treatment instead of the landfill.
This food digester gets loaded during the day in 20, 30, and 40-pound increments in a very simple way for staff at the food bank.
This enables the food that maybe is expired or for whatever reason is not fit to go into a truck to go to a home. And onto somebody's table eventually. That food is actually being put into the orca and that is being digested so that it goes into the environment very safely.
According to officials, one of the benefits of using this new technology is that it avoids methane gases that are produced in landfills from organics.
Certain food groups will digest and break down faster. Fruit and vegetables with a lot of water content break down rapidly. Starches and meats and other heavier food groups will take a little bit more time.
Helping the environment 1 pound of food waste at a time.
The Food Bank of Delaware says having the orca here at its Milford facility ensures that the hunger relief work they do is matched by a deep commitment to the environment. In Milford, Ana Sofia Roman, Coast TV News.
Here's a live look outside now into Ocean City. Our first alert chief meteorologist Paul Williams joins us now with a check on the weather. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Christina, and we've enjoyed relatively clear skies and calm conditions, high pressure and full control of our weather, which has actually been helpful for enjoying more recreationally driven weather. Now, we are currently taking a look in Salisbury right now, a bit on the cool side there. We're looking at 51 degrees. We want to stay in the low 50s to upper 40s with mostly clear skies at this point. We do have some very gusty winds along the beaches, though. That's the only thing that might be a little bit bothersome. Not a problem, but a little bothersome with 25-mile-per-hour winds along the coast. Coming up, we'll talk more about temperatures escalating into the 80s, believe it or not, Christina.
All right. Thank you, Paul. We'll check back in. Well, the possibility of police monuments being moved in Georgetown took center stage at tonight's town council meeting. Earlier today, we told you about conversations involving relocating the memorials to Patrolman Chad Spicer and Chief Harvey Gregg from the Georgetown Circle to the new police station. But many people, including Spicer's daughter, urged council members to keep the memorials in the Georgetown Circle. Mayor Bill West said the idea to move them came from safety concerns, but he added they could still stay at the Circle. As for what's next, Mayor West says the town will reform the Circle Advisory Committee to work with everyone on making the best solution. Also on the topic of memorials, we're getting our first look today at a new bench in Ellendale honoring fallen firefighter Thomas Berry III. Berry died in August 2024 after being struck by electrical wires while helping at the scene of a car crash. He served with both the Georgetown and Ellendale fire companies. He was just 23 years old. Now to Millsboro. A new paramedic station is now on Dickerson Road in Millsboro. A ribbon cutting made the open official today, but the station opened for service in February. The location was strategic for the area, specifically from Selbyville to Millsboro.
It means a lot for the area in terms of response times and in terms of having people in the area, and its location is great. You know, as the county grows, we need to grow with the county.
And officials say the station will be open 24/7. Well, we have an update tonight on the City of Milford's water referendum. The official results are in, and it looks like voters approved the referendum on Saturday. It allows the city to borrow up to $8.5 million for water infrastructure improvements. There were 135 voters in favor, 21 against, with 157 votes total. This paves the way for upgrades to the city's northwest service area. Well, new signs could be coming to the Ocean City Boardwalk, and some old ones could be coming down. The plan is to replace many existing signs with new blue and yellow kiosks. They're designed to help visitors navigate the boardwalk. Other signs in green and pink would make rules and regulations clear for people walking through. CoastTV spoke with people on the boardwalk about this today.
I really like the nostalgic signs that have been here for so long, but I think it's nice to give people an idea of what they can and cannot do in certain areas if they've never been here before.
And this brings us to our CoastTV poll tonight. We want to know, how much should boardwalk signs change? Let's take a look at the results, see what you guys think. 74% say only minor updates to the boardwalk. 14% say just repairs, 11% say they need a total makeover, only 1% saying no changes. But you can change these results if you go ahead and vote on CoastTV.com or using our mobile app. Well, a special dedication was held today to honor the legacy of a Salisbury community member. The downtown roundabout has officially been named Greg Bassett Circle. Bassett was a cherished leader, journalist, and devoted member of the community. He was an editor at the Daily Times before creating the Salisbury Independent. Bassett also served on the Greater Salisbury Committee. We asked the committee's president and CEO why it chose to honor him with this roundabout.
Because Greg Bassett became obsessed with the obelisk that's in the middle of it, and so when the roundabout was created, they needed to find a place to put the obelisk. Greg became obsessed with it, and we're like, at his funeral, I kind of suggested, hey, you know what? Since Greg was obsessed over the roundabout and the obelisk, why don't we rename this Greg Bassett Circle?
Greg Bassett's journalistic career spanned more than 40 years. He passed away at the age of 63 back in December of 2023. Bassett is survived by his 2 children. Well, moving to political news tonight, this week marks the end of the first 100 days of President Donald Trump's second term, and his administration is working to highlight what they consider his biggest accomplishments so far. Today, they focused in on immigration, and as Julia Benbrook reports, Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, is using the day to defend some of the administration's recent raids and deportations.
Today's messaging here at the White House focuses in on President Donald Trump's hardline stance on immigration, as the administration looks to tout what it believes are its biggest accomplishments on border security. They lined the North Lawn with photos of people they say are undocumented immigrants who have been arrested. This comes after several days of raids and deportations, including what U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement described as a massive multi-agency immigration enforcement crackdown in Florida that led to the arrest of nearly 800 people over 4 days. In Colorado, more than 100 immigrants allegedly in the country illegally were detained in Colorado Springs after an overnight raid at what authorities described as an underground nightclub in a strip mall. Separately, Border Czar Tom Homan is defending the administration's recent deportations of 3 children who are U.S. citizens.
If you choose to have a U.S. citizen child, knowing you're in this country legally, you put yourself in that position. You put your family in that position. What we did is remove children with their mothers who requested the children depart with them. This was a parental decision, parenting 101. The mothers made that choice.
Advocates for the women say they were not given a choice and both wanted their children to remain in the U.S. A recent CNN survey shows that the majority of Americans disapprove of Trump's handling of immigration so far. Trump has been working at a rapid pace since the day he was sworn in, and tomorrow is expected to give a wide-ranging speech about the first few months of his second term. Reporting at the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
And we are just getting started this evening. Coming up next here on Coast TV News at 11, traveling smarter, how AI is revolutionizing vacation planning and what still needs a human touch.
Well, here's Mother Nature's touch on Cambridge. We're looking at 80 degrees and sunshine on Tuesday, 84 with a few more clouds on Wednesday, but then we drop back into the 70s. An interesting plot twist with the forecast. The details of the entire novel coming up in 60 seconds. Well, we're continuing to ride this wonderful high-pressure system and the influence it's having over our weather, because that's what's allowing us to enjoy sunshine. And with the winds pushing out of the south, temperatures rising up well above the norm for this time of the year. Hey, get this. We're going to warm all the way up to 80-something degrees for 2 days in a row. That's not bad, and that's not shabby at all. Our Tidal Health camera right now in Salisbury holding at 51 degrees. There's a slight cool in the air. I wouldn't even call it a chill, not officially. Just a comfortable cool is how I would say it. Under mostly clear skies, winds are staying relatively light with the exception of right along the beach areas exactly right close to the water. For example, inland we're at 53 degrees in Redden, Georgetown, 54 in Laurel, Del Mar, and Gumboro, for example. We're still a little bit warmer here along the coast because, remember, it takes it a little bit longer for it to cool off next to the water because the water retains the heat throughout the day a little bit longer. But you see, the winds are coming out of the south right now, gusting up to like 11 miles per hour Indian River Inlet, but 7 mile per hour gusts out of the south now. Remember that, out of the south in Millsboro. So what breeze we have is a bit on the warm side, but then it becomes a feistier breeze, particularly by the time the sun comes back up, because we have this active small craft advisory in the Lewis Beach, Rehoboth Beach, Ocean View, Fenwick Island, watching out for 25 mile per hour winds all the way down to Chincoteague, but on the other side at Crisfield, Oxford, as well as going into Cambridge. So we're still watching out for about 25 mile per hour wind gusts. But overall, we're still under the influence of high pressure that's keeping it clear along the entire East Coast, the Ohio Valley region, the Tennessee Valley region, the Southeast. High pressure, listen, it's a high pressure party for the entire eastern side of the U.S. at this point. Now, good news here. If you've been having problems breathing previously, you notice it was a lot easier today. Well, part of that was due to the air quality. We've gone from yellow back to green. So we're good across the Delmarva Peninsula. Not only in that factor of breathing, but also our pollen count has gotten better. For Tuesday, trees are now on the low side along with mold, grass, and dust and dander. So the pollens have cleared up and the air quality has gotten better. And then we enjoy some sunshine. It's a trifecta of beautiful weather, right? Winds are out of the south. In the afternoon, by 2:30, we're going to be near 80 degrees, and we'll click over. We'll stay in the 60s throughout the late night hours. Wednesday, we start off a little bit cloudy, but then we'll end up with scattered cloud cover by the evening time, and we'll still end up warm. We're still going to have winds pushing primarily out of the south and the southwest over the next few days from Ocean Pines down to Snow Hill. And by late Wednesday, we're going to fall back into the upper to mid 50s. So as you take a look at the 3-day forecast as we come to a close here, we're looking for temperatures at 60, 71, 66 in Assateague. Now, once again, it's just a bit different for us close to the water. 78 on Wednesday in Phillip Island, but then back down to 81 degrees. However, it flips a little bit more in Lewis, for example. We go 82 to 81, then we drop to 72 degrees. Finally, here's a look at your 7-day forecast. We are watching out for a bona fide thunderstorm or two on Saturday once again. And of course, next Monday is Cinco de Mayo. To you.
Well, you're listening to local musician and chef Paul Cullen, and his former band, Bad Company, will be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this fall. Cullen was the band's bassist from 1990 to 1994. We caught up with him after the nominations to the Hall of Fame were announced, and he showed us some of his memorabilia.
Me back in 1991, I had long flowing black hair, and now I'm just happy I have hair. And then this was our tour jacket, leather jacket, Bad Company. That's the tour that I did, Holy Water. And that's one of my favorites. That's our U.S. Marshal badge. It has my name on there, Outlaw Paul. And then I got a gold record for helping promote Holy Water on that tour.
These days, Cullen runs a nonprofit. Now, he's not one of the four Bad Company members who will be personally inducted to the Hall of Fame, but he says it's been a long time coming for his former bandmates. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony, that's on November 8th. Well, the Delaware State Police are honoring Corporal Dennis Kelly. Nearly 40 years after a helicopter crash during training left him paralyzed. Kelly, who spent his decades living with his injuries, passed away last December at the age of 69. This May, his name will be added to the Delaware State Police Memorial in Dover and the Delaware Law Enforcement Memorial on Legislative Mall. Kelly will also be honored nationally in Washington, D.C. next year. Coming up next, a $60 million mishap, how a Navy jet fell overboard into the Red Sea.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
A U.S. Navy fighter jet is now lost at sea after it fell off the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier while being towed on board. The Navy said in a statement today the ship made a sharp turn to avoid fire from Houthi rebels, which caused the about $60 million jet to fall overboard. Officials say all personnel are safe, but one sailor did sustain a minor injury. Well, with the summer season coming quickly and you may be planning some travel, you might still need to put on some final touches on those vacation plans. Looks like AI could help you. Reporter Michael Yoshida has more on how new technology is impacting travel planning.
From flights to hotels and activities, trip planning can be a lot.
AI is really wonderful in doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
Gabriela Garcia has organized several family vacations using artificial intelligence.
Helping source ideas, helping with organization.
ChatGPT can help with research and brainstorming, Hopper for hotel and flight prices, Mindtrip for itineraries. There are a whole host of other platforms and apps you can choose from too. Garcia says no matter which you use, be specific and remember.
It doesn't take into account things like mood or weather or if you're going to be hungry between certain activities.
That personal touch is why travel agent Alexis Williams says even with AI growing in popularity, her business continues to thrive.
AI can come and give her ideas like this is their itinerary and this is it and now you need to go here and book it. See, I'm going to do all that booking for you.
Travel bloggers feeling the rise of smart tech too.
I wrote a blog post about the destination that I don't think anybody wrote about. And then I looked it up on ChatGPT and I found very similar information.
Chris Oberman says providing nuance and perspectives a machine can't is key, but also acknowledges AI is here to stay and now another
piece of the puzzle in the whole decision process. You read something on a blog and maybe you ask something like ChatGPT as well. And then from that information, you base your next trip.
In Washington, I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
Coming up in sports tonight, Queen Anne's and Caesar Rodney go toe-to-toe in boys lacrosse. See who came out on top in Centerville. And coming up, magic mushrooms moving into the mainstream, how the trend is growing and what experts say you need to know before taking a trip.
Well, before taking your trip to the golf course, just keep this in mind. It's going to be absolutely excellent situation. That's right. We're looking for more sunshine and a high of 78 degrees.
In health news tonight, the more ultra-processed foods you eat, the more your risk of premature death rises. That's according to a new meta-analysis of research involving more than 240,000 people. It's been estimated that nearly 70% of all food in grocery stores in the U.S. is ultra-processed. These ultra-processed foods are considered to have little to no whole food. They are chemically manipulated and often contain synthetic additives. According to the study, the U.S. has the highest level of ultra-processed food consumption in the world. It's more than half of the average American's diet. However, with an official with Consumer Brands Association, which represents the food industry, they say the new study could be misleading. Well, as states like Colorado relax the rules on psilocybin or magic mushrooms, more people are giving a trip a try. A new study from researchers at Rocky Mountain Poison and Drug Safety found that the use of psilocybin or magic mushrooms is up. Researchers say their study found it's now the second most used drug behind only cannabis. Rachel Krause reports.
Thinking about tripping? You're not alone. As millions of Americans try psilocybin, new research is tracking that use.
Because as laws change on the state level, what we want to do is understand whether or not this is affecting people's health and whether or not this is affecting people's use patterns. And that is what we found.
Dr. Andrew Monti is the Associate Director of Rocky Mountain Poison and Drug Safety. He's also the senior author of the study that looked at magic mushroom use in the U.S. from 2019 to 2023, just as laws were starting to change. They found psilocybin users jumped from 25 to 31 million Americans.
Well, we knew that use was increasing. And in fact, here in Colorado, right, we know that the state is rolling out this healing center program. They've decriminalized use. And so we expected the numbers to go up, but it was certainly higher than we expected. Certainly, we didn't necessarily expect this to be higher than opioid use or methamphetamine use.
Young people are tripping, and so are older adults. As use climbed higher, so did calls for help.
Yes, absolutely. We've seen an increased number of calls to the Poison Center. But I would also say that we know that use is higher amongst people with moderate and severe depression and moderate and severe chronic pain. And that may suggest actually that people are starting to self-treat with this drug, and that can be risky.
Even with that spike in calls, Dr. Monti says they're not concerned. Last year, Rocky Mountain Poison and Drug Safety took 74 calls about it, from heart racing, medication interactions, and kids being exposed. Still, Dr. Monti says as magic mushroom use keeps rising, more research is needed. Monitoring and talking more about who's using, how much, and how it goes will help them better understand psilocybin use, while sharing information that can help ensure your trip doesn't turn sour.
Plan your trip and talk to your physicians about this. There may be benefits to this treatment, but you have to do this in a way that is going to have a safe environment so that you don't put yourself in a dangerous situation.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Yeah, Caesar Rodney trying to bounce back from Friday's loss to Decatur. Let's check out the highlights from today in Centerville. Lions sit second in the Bayside North standings. CR 5-4 on the year. Jackson Shiley would get the scoring started for Queen Anne's. First quarter, the dodge, the swim, gets to the crease, bounces it in, and it's 1-0 Queen Anne's. A few minutes later, Sam Yetman, he scores from close range. 2-0 Lions ahead. A few seconds later, CR responds. This is Parker Smith. 2-1, Caesar Rodney trails. Smith then scores a second from downtown. We're knotted up at 2. And then we go to the second quarter where Tanner Smith able to find Twine. 3-2 Caesar Rodney still in the second. CR up 4-3 at this point. Braxton Faircloth, he drives, he scores, pays for it after the fact. Counts all the same. 5-3 Caesar Rodney ahead. But the Lions would respond with 4 straight goals. This one by Tanner Lyon to tie the game at 5. And then Shiley again. 7-5 at this point. Lions go on to win it. 13-11, your final. And up in the pros, the Eagles were honored at the White House earlier today. It marked Philly's first trip to the White House as Super Bowl champions. There was no visit in 2018. NFL Offensive Player of the Year Saquon Barkley headlined the Birds, who represented the franchise on Pennsylvania Ave. That over sports tonight. Have a good one, everybody.
Right now, DENREC is looking for volunteers to help protect beach nesting birds like the one you see here on your screen. Volunteers will be stationed near restricted nesting areas to explain the importance of closures and their nesting season. If this sounds like something you'd like to do, a training session for new participants will be held on May 3rd at Cape Henlopen State Park.
Take a look at our Hershey's exterior camera in Ocean City. Right now, we're at 57 degrees with the winds at about 11 miles per hour. We're looking at it staying clear, as temperature staying in the lower 50s. Our umbrella giveaway winner is Kathleen Lepolsky of Lewis. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration Home Remodeling. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line. Your forecast is just a call away. Sponsored by the law offices of Brockstead, Mandalas, and Federico. The number to call is 443-880-9100. That line is updated 7 days a week. Finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. Now, we're going to have an abundance of sunshine on Tuesday with a high of 80 degrees. Then we'll push it up to 84 on Wednesday. Not quite a record high, but it's in the range. We'll drop to 72, back up to 83 degrees on Friday. Then we dip a bit on Sunday before Cinco de Mayo. We do have a good chance of scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms on Saturday, and perhaps another round of rain next Wednesday and next Thursday. Not this Wednesday and this Thursday.
All right, got it. Thank you, Paul. Thanks for joining us for Coast TV News at 11. For some more local news and weather, you can always download our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is up next, and we'll see you back tomorrow for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.